All right, we are here at the Oncemore warehouse in Karlshamn, surrounded by textile waste, and I'm sitting here with Alvhage, sourcing manager of Oncemore, and Anna-Kaisa Huttunen, director of partnerships at Rester. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you for inviting.
It's quite the unorthodox setting, but we're here for a good reason, and it is to talk about the collaboration, the partnership between these companies, Oncemore and Rester. And to kick it off, I think, Anna-Kaisa, I'm going to give the word to you and describe, first, of course, your role, but describe Rester for the listeners who don't know about it.
Rester is a Nordic textile recycling company, the first one and the biggest one in mechanical recycling field. We have our factory in Finland, southwest part of Finland, and then we have collection point also in Sweden, close to Gothenburg.
Mm-hmm. And talk about your role in the company and what you do there.
So I'm leading this partnership together with Olsson for Södra and Rester collaboration, and then also I'm leading other sales activities, product development, and also a little bit leading the operations. All right, so let's get into it. For me, I learned about your partnership last year, and I think this is such a good example of really what the industry needs. It's a collaboration with two different companies. In a way, you're competing, you're kind of overlapping in what you do, but you're also collaborating, over the countries from Sweden and Finland. So maybe we talk about a little bit. How did this whole thing started? And also maybe you can describe this partnership, the origins of it.
Yes, of course. It was in January 2022. I was contacted by Rester, a former colleague of Anna-Kaisa. And we immediately actually saw that we have so much in common and mutual interests. And we really felt like a team within a couple of weeks or so. So I think it was maybe 4 months later or something that we signed a contract. So things moved really fast, but felt absolutely right from the very start. So perfect beginning, I think. And we saw a lot of things, both in mindset, I think, with the two companies and persons. I think it's really important to feel that with the person that you're working with, that it's totally working out. And also regarding what kind of work we were doing. So we found a way to collaborate quite naturally, I think.
Well, describe that situation, because it turned out you discovered that you were doing kind of similar things at the same time, and you realized, well, maybe we can do something more efficiently. Maybe Anna-Kaisa, you can describe that. We were contacting same customers. So you were looking for the white cotton-rich textiles, and Rester was looking for colored workwear from the same companies. Yeah. That was one overlapping point that should we maybe do that together and offer a one-stop solution for the clients.
Exactly.
And then also we were thinking a little bit about the geographic. Yeah. So we both are Nordic companies. We want to really increase the textile recycling capacity in Nordics. So that was the second one. Yeah. And then maybe, like you said, the mindset. Yeah. We really want to solve problems and we want to find solutions and develop together. So it was also personally for me very important to see this development-oriented attitude.
Yes, exactly. And when trying to find the solutions, you immediately saw that we had kind of the same thought, and it was easily done. Right. So also making it as easy as possible for the laundries to have one. So the one-stop solution is one truck coming in. They can sort and get rid of the waste that they want. Not only the flat goods to Södra, but also other things for Rester. So making it as easy as possible.
You mentioned one very good thing also, which is that we were focusing on B2B textiles, which is a little bit different than post-consumer textiles. Yeah. So textile rental companies, industrial laundries, which are renting and serving their clients with the workwear, hotel and hospital linen. And for those clients, we wanted to make their recycling possibilities as easy as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should stick on that for a while, because I think this is an important point, and part of this conversation is we do want to enlighten and people in kind of the textile and fashion industry how this all works today. And when people think of textile recycling, I think you naturally gravitate to thinking about the clothes that you wear because it's so close to you. But where we are in textile sourcing, let's say, today, and just looking around for the people who only hear this in audio, we're sitting in bales and bales of white textiles, and this is you're actually sorted textiles or sourced textiles. So talk a little bit more about where you find the textiles today.
Rester is today collecting the textiles from B2B segment, like I mentioned, from Nordic countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, but also Baltic states, and a little bit northeastern part of Europe, meaning the companies who owns the textile. And we have, at the moment, I could say, more than 30 companies already in our network, together with Södra, and several collecting points, several laundries. So we have made agreements, long partnership agreements with those companies. So they are tied to collaborate with us with, let's say, 3 to 5 years period.
Yeah. Exactly, and we are also focusing on right now the B2B textiles, since the household waste is not there yet with the collection and sorting. Of course, we would like that to happen in the near future as well, but it's a lot of challenges in that area. So it's a great way to collaborate with Rester by finding these textiles.
Yeah, and on that note, what do you think? What are some of the misconceptions people have when thinking about textile recycling? You must get questions all the time. What are the type of questions people say, and what are kind of the question marks you need to straighten out?
I think that one of the first ones is that everything that I place in a bin for reuse are being reused, or if it's not reused, it's being recycled. And this is unfortunately not the case yet. So this is my top of mind thing.
And often also people, they think that when textile is in the end of the life, it can be dirty. But in our case, and that has been also our choice, that we have started only with the clean, dry, end of life textile. So meaning certain quality must be there to start with. And then the third is also the people, they just think it's just a waste. You don't need to at all sort in any ways. You don't have to separate the colored textiles from the white ones, or different kind of material fractions. But how people could know also those things?
Yeah,
maybe they don't.
Exactly, and I think that we have been sorting for reuse for such a long time. The second-hand market is really has been going on for ages. And the sorting is based on what kind of garment and what kind of quality, in the sense of is it good or bad, and not for recycling, what kind of fibers, and so on. So this is the big difference, I think.
But also, maybe you can describe in terms of the Oncemore solution, what can you actually receive? Because this notion of mixed use fibers is a big thing in textiles. A lot of people talk about you only need cotton. You can actually handle some level of polycotton. What is the percentage today for Oncemore?
So the Oncemore process is about the blend with cotton and polyester.
Right.
So we can handle this blend, but what we need is 70% cotton. And what we do is that we take care of the cellulose in the cotton, and then we can replace for some of the wood part in the process. So that is why our product is part of it is recycled content. So approximately 20% now is based on cellulose from cotton.
And I think because sometimes we use the term textile waste, and I think that can almost be misleading for people, because you think of waste as something you just throw in a bin, you don't think about it. What actually comes in here and what comes into the process, it needs to be clean, right? I mean, if it's, you had a term for it when we spoke previously. I don't know if we want to mention that, but talk about that point a little bit.
Yeah. So I know that for Rester, it's really important that it is clean. For us, it needs to be clean in that sense that it's no oil or stuff like that. And we also have people, we can see them around us working right now, actually, that is dealing with the textiles and sorting it as well. And if the textiles are dirty or even we receive a lot of moldy textiles, for example, it's not good for people to handle this. So it is a certain... it's quite important, I think, to keep it as clean as possible and like an hygienic thing in a way that maybe sometimes you don't really think about that.
And especially in our mechanical recycling process, we don't use any water or chemicals in order to clean the textiles. So
yes,
the material has to be in certain level when you put that into our machines in order to get good quality fibers out.
Yeah.
And yes, we cannot underestimate your point of the health and safety issues.
Exactly.
To people who are handling the textiles.
What would be, if we look a little bit into the future, because EU now from next year mandates we need to sort or collect all textile waste in all EU countries. I know you in Finland, you're kind of a head start. You've started doing it already. But just expand a little bit, what would need to be in place for there to be kind of a large-scale consumer recycling, or I mean recycling of consumer textiles? What would need to be in place?
A lot, I think. But I think that a lot of knowledge needs to be shared. I think some kind of education is needed on so many different levels. To make people understand, both regarding what the complex material we are talking about. It's you cannot compare it maybe to plastic or glass or paper,
right,
in that sense. So textiles, it's so complex. We talked earlier about a jacket with so many different layers, and you have some material in the collar and some material in the zipper and buttons and lining and so on. So there we really have a challenge. But I think that education, as always, is super important to start with. And I think it's really good to also mention that it doesn't matter how many tons of textiles we really sort and collect if we don't have a solution for what's next.
Right. Right.
So a lot of education.
Well, just to stick on that point, meaning there needs to be demand for the product that you actually produce on the other end.
Yeah.
So
So some kind of change in mindset. I think that is really needed the coming years.
And also, if you think about the current very linear way of producing textiles from the cotton field to a cloth for a brand, you can't just change the system by putting the recycled content in the linear system, because it doesn't make it circular. So you need a lot of new players. There must be the companies who are professionals in sorting and collecting, but then also to have a good product market fit, to have really right products for different kind of production types, different kind of processes. So I think we need to shift the focus from the linear model to the circular ones. And then education is one, but then also the new innovations.
Exactly, a lot of new innovations.
New value chains.
Exactly.
New players must join. So you have to change quite many things. This is a systemic change.
Exactly. And also with talking about the circular economy, I think it's really important to focus on the economy in that sense.
Yes.
Because we really need that to work. Otherwise,
right.
Yeah.
it's not possible either. So
yeah, I'm happy that you mentioned that economy.
Yeah.
Because this needs to be profitable business as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anna-Kaisa, how would you describe kind of where we are in the development cycle? I mean, this will take a few years. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about the EU later, but they're aiming for a kind of 2030 kind of end game, or that's the magic number here. In terms of kind of consumers and fashion companies, how can they interact right now to kind of help facilitate this change in the next few years?
Quite many fashion companies and big brands, they have already made very good statements for the climate science-based targets. How big percentage they want to have preferred fibers.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking for take-back systems. But then we need to have, let's say, certain understanding that what kind of take-back systems you can organize, you can handle, and what kind of material fractions can go to different kind of processes. But I would say for the brands that it's maybe good to start with the material strategy. And at the same time, we as a recycling companies, we can start to also fulfill your needs when you have certain criteria, so what you would like to have. Now everybody is just asking us that can you take our textiles, but then there's not yet idea where it will go in the end of the day.
Yeah.
Olsson, do you have something to add to
I
that?
I totally agree. It's super important, and a lot of brands, as you say, are focusing on the take-back system, but we need to start also at the other end in a way.
I mean, there is a certain level of kind of knowledge sharing needed, and if possible, mention something that you work with when it comes to spreading knowledge about this to maybe the fashion companies. What are some of the misconceptions you have to kind of? We've talked about it before, but what are some of the knowledge sharing you have to kind of facilitate to these companies?
I think it is in a way exactly what you just mentioned, that a lot of brands are focusing on a take-back system, and they think that it's easily done to recycle, or if it's not for reuse, everything can be recycled. And that's the biggest thing I think that we need to share knowledge in, and how to and also find different ways, and maybe helping them to find different ways of dealing with their waste.
Right.
And we are not maybe there yet, but I'm hoping for new innovations and these kinds of new companies.
And I think also it's very important to collaborate with the right stakeholders in different companies, because very often the sustainability managers or directors are the first ones who wants to talk with us.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think we need to also talk simultaneously with the designers and procurement and sourcing people, so that they also see what are the possibilities today, what will be possibilities of tomorrow, and what are still maybe the challenges.
Exactly.
And everything comes so with open communication, also idea sharing and sharing the knowledge.
And everything starts with the design, right? If you choose the right kind of material from the very start and have the different options, I think that's a good start.
Yeah,
it's a very good point. It's an organization-wide challenge to take on for many companies. We mentioned the EU regulations before, and I mean, it's such a huge thing, so it's definitely its own conversation, its own episode. But I'm curious from each of you, your own perspective, how has this influenced your work and the processes you have in place now? What areas of the upcoming regulations are most relevant for you? Just anything on this is interesting for the audience, I think. Maybe Anna-Kaisa.
I think the first is maybe this separate textile waste collection, which will be soon effective in every European Union countries, but it started already last year in Finland. And it's very much focused on household waste, but what we wanted to offer the same kind of systems for the companies as well. And then the second one is the extended producer responsibility. Companies are responsible of their goods in the end of the life. They must organize in a way for their clients the system that where they can recycle or with whom they can recycle the textiles. So we are now in place in let's say with our collaboration can cover quite big part of Nordic countries. But then the next step will be really that where and how the eco-design will be applied and how we can support the companies to do it in right way.
Exactly, and I think that in general it's so important to get all these legislations in place, because I think it's really needed to get things started. And by having these in place, then we can. I think that then we will see the new innovations and new solutions coming. I think that, like a general thought.
Good. So looking back at this collaboration, it's been going on for 2 years now between you companies. I'm curious about any learnings you have, or rather also like tips and recommendations to other companies that are looking to collaborate, because it feels, I've been meeting with you guys a couple of times. It just feels like you have such a good rapport and you work together. And in my mind, you kind of think long term and think about the big picture and not only for your own personal interest. But like any learnings or tips is highly welcomed here.
I think in every books when you read about creating the partnerships or ecosystems, it's always highlighted the communication and the company should be like a one team. I haven't seen that very often, except in this collaboration. It has been starting day one, the feeling that we are on the same boat. We are the same team. Yes, we have signed certain NDA agreements, but still I think the open communication has been very natural.
Yeah.
And knowledge sharing.
Exactly.
And also highlighting when there are some challenges, hey, we need to pay attention on this one and so forth.
Exactly. The mutual understanding about not only our goals, but also the challenges. And to immediately, really straightforward. I think that is a good word for it. We both like that.
It's maybe a little bit Nordic way.
A little bit Nordic way. Yeah, absolutely. And to share. Okay, this is not working. How should we do it? Immediately, like raise the question and analyze, optimize, learning from each other. I heard this. Can we do like that? I think that both of our teams are really innovative in a way, in their own way, thinking of the future, the next step, how can we improve, and so on. So, I think that we are very lucky.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that part of it too? Because, you don't always have all the answers when you're going into something like this. It is a bit exploratory in a way.
Yes.
That you have to kind of throw yourself in there and hope that there's something positive coming out of it, right?
Yeah. Start somewhere at least.
Exactly.
Because you get started, that's the one. No need to be afraid of. And then step by step, you can start to scale it up. And I'm quite sure that the challenges that we have been overcome now, there might be new ones in the future, but I'm very confident that we always find a solution.
Yeah.
And it also gives a little freedom that you have good visions, maybe you have long-term views, you don't know how to go there, but you know that with these guys, we can do it.
Yeah. Step by step.
Step by step, I love that, and get started. We're going to have to wrap it up. I just want to end kind of on a hopefully optimistic note, but we're talking about a systems change here. It's complex stuff. We're establishing new kind of processes across the industries and even multiple industries. I'd like both of you to give a little bit of an outlook about what needs to happen. What are you optimistic about? What are some of the challenges you're happy to take on, let's say? Maybe also you can start.
Yeah, I think it's super important to look at the future in a bright way.
In your crystal ball.
Exactly, in my crystal ball. You have to be optimistic. A lot of things will happen, I'm sure. And probably the best thing has not happened yet. That's my motto, in a way. So I think that we need to be ready for the change, and open-minded, something like that. Yeah.
Good. Anna-Kaisa.
I'm quite sure that the demand for the sustainable fibers, whether they are once more fibers or cellulose or pulp, or whether they are Rester mechanically open fibers, which can be directly used in many ways. The demand will increase very soon because so many companies have been committed to sustainable raw materials. And unfortunately, maybe the infrastructure will be not ready for the demand. But if I look at our collaboration, I'm happy that we are ready. So we have been building quite significant infra around. We have been developing together. We know where we are going to. And that's maybe something that our clients, they can rely on. And that's a good one. I hope that all the other companies are doing the same thing, that they are preparing themselves for the big demand.
Wonderful. Åsa Alvhage, Anna-Kaisa Huttunen, thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Boom.